Well, hey friends, I know that I have been MIA for a little bit, but there's good reason for it, I promise you. I've been incredibly busy with my move to Vienna. If you haven't seen my announcement, you can watch this.
Last living in our nation's capital, but it's time to say goodbye to Washington, D.C. And hello to Vienna, Austria.
So a lot of my time has just been taken up with getting ready for this move, and unfortunately this move is a little bit different, so I wasn't able to announce it the way that I have with my other moves. So a lot of the stuff that I've been doing has been done kind of in secret because I couldn't really talk about it, but now I can. And so I thought I would do a kind of get ready with me with you today. I asked you all to send me questions on my Instagram stories and Instagram. And then of course, my wonderful patrons also submitted some questions. So I thought I would just kind of do a very chatty get ready with me with you today, and answer some of your questions about my upcoming move, and also give you a little bit of information about, how my channel and my content might be changing, and how you can see all of the super fun stuff that I have in store. So of course, before we put on any makeup, we have to make sure that our skin is prepped, so let's do that now. All right, now that my skin is prepped, I will go ahead and start getting ready and answer your questions. And hopefully I'll be able to focus. I have a really hard time with doing my makeup and talking at the same time. So I apologize if I have moments where I don't know what I'm saying or I stop doing my makeup. So I'm going to do my best to continue and answer your questions and do my makeup at the same time. I will say that this is not going to be a makeup tutorial. I do have a couple of those already on my page. So if you're interested in the products that I'm using or my techniques, please go check out those. I definitely can't do three things at the same time. So we're just going to stick with getting ready and answering your questions. As I'm sure you've guessed, there's a lot of the same question, mostly why? Why are you moving again? Why are you moving to Vienna? How are you getting there? Did somebody get a new job? All of that stuff. So, yes, my husband got a new job, and normally, if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that most of our moves, or pretty much all of our moves, have been with my husband's job. He was working for the US government, and they moved us to, when we were living in Baltimore, we moved to Germany, and then we moved from Germany to Hawaii, and then Hawaii to Washington, D.C. So, or from Hawaii to Washington, D.C. So the reason that I haven't been able to talk about it, and I've had to be hush hush about it, is because this is a new job and he hadn't put in his notice yet to his current job. So I wasn't able to be public about it. So some of this move is going to be a little bit different than our previous moves because it is through a completely different channel than the US government. But I'll get more into his job in a little bit. But yes, that is the reason that we are moving to Vienna, is for this new job of his. So I had a couple of my patrons ask questions, and one in particular, Allison, she is lovely and I love her to death. She has asked a bunch of questions, which they're fantastic questions, but they're way too involved for me to go into in this, quick kind of get ready with me. But she's posted a lot of great questions, which if you guys want to know a little bit more about moving abroad, I could definitely do a whole video with some information. I'm not an expert on it, but I do have a lot of great resources because we've been working towards this for a really long time. So I'm gonna read some of her questions, and then there's a few things that I'll go over briefly, but I can't answer everything. So a couple things. So for her, as a fellow American, would love to know, would love to work and live overseas. Any tips or tricks for finding a job, making the move, any advice to make it happen? She also says, you've mentioned before that you've used to live in Germany. So do you have any stories about adjusting to living overseas for the first time? I call them American moments. When I had difficult assumption or baseline for something, and then something happened that made me realize it. Best way to learn another language, and how do you find a place to live when you aren't familiar, I'm assuming, with the vibes of the neighborhood of the city? Is it a party area? Are there young families, crime, safety, whatever? And then just please tell us everything because you're living my dream life. So yes, that is a lot of questions and a lot of information, which I'm happy to go into and do like a very special video just talking about this stuff. Obviously the easiest way is to get a job overseas, and then they take care of everything for you. Usually, they'll take care of your visa, they'll take care of your moving, depending on the company, of course. And that's the easiest way to do it. And finding a job, that's just depends on what your skill set is. Like I said, my husband has worked for the US government, and that's how we were able to move to Germany and to Hawaii. And so I guess, we'll just go into his new job now, since we're going to talking about that anyway. And I do have to read off of some notes because this is a brand new job for me, and I don't have my elevator speech set up yet for what he does. So he is going to be working at the IAEA, which is the International Atomic Energy Agency. And now I'm going to read their little tagline. So, established in 1957, it is an autonomous international science and technology-based organization in the United Nations family that serves as the global focal point for nuclear cooperation. So what they do, the IAEA assists the member states of the UN in planning for and using nuclear science and technology for various peaceful purposes, including generation of electricity, healthcare, environmental protection, food safety, and development of nuclear safety standards across the globe. So he's going to be the one of the nuclear security officers for the Nuclear Security Division of the IAEA. So I will go into a little bit more detail into kind of what his job is at some other date. One of the things that's a little different is because he was working for the government for so long, there was so much that I couldn't talk about. But now I think there's a little bit more transparency for what he does, and just kind of what his position will be. But anyway, he's he has been working towards this job, gosh, probably for the last 5 or 6 years. We've been, all of the moves, all of the positions, all of the training that he has done, has been in pursuit of this particular job. So this is something that we are incredibly excited about. I'm incredibly proud of him that he's made it to this, and this for him is kind of a dream job. So, and then of course being in Vienna, because he'll be working at the United Nations, at the IAEA is within the United Nations, so that's where he'll be working. So that's the kind of, I guess, kind of elevator speech, I guess, of his job. So let's get back to some of the questions. As far as finding a place to live where you're not familiar, so we actually took a trip last month to Vienna. We went there specifically to check out the neighborhoods. We toured several apartments, basically because we wanted to check out the neighborhoods and see where we would be comfortable and, what's going to be closest to his job. We're not going to really, we're selling both of our cars. And so we're not going to have a car for probably quite a while because we don't really need one in Vienna. The public transportation there is just spectacular, and so we can just take the U-Bahn or the S-Bahn or buses or any public transportation, and he'll be, his job is right in the center of the city, so really anywhere we live is probably a 30-minute commute on public transport, so we're very excited about that. So yeah, we've been to Vienna a few times. He's been there a lot more than I have for work things, and we knew that we loved it when we visited there, and we knew that this was a possibility of moving there for this job. So we've just been continuing to do a ton of research and watching lots of YouTube videos, reading lots of blogs, and all of that. So we know that Vienna itself is incredibly safe. There's not really a lot of neighborhoods that are not great. It's been ranked like one of the most livable cities for several years. And so yeah, we knew that pretty much anywhere that we wanted to live would be fine, would be safe for us, would be comfortable. But really what we were looking for, we want to make sure that we're close to markets, close to parks, obviously close to public transport, which is not hard to do there. It's everywhere. So, we've definitely found a couple of neighborhoods that we really like that we're trying to find apartments in. So, we will keep you updated on that. All right. So Megan, another one of my patrons, asks, what are you most excited and most nervous about? So you guys know that I loved living in Germany. So I'm most excited just in general being back in Europe. And I am really excited about the history of Vienna and learning more about the history and learning more about the culture. And then of course just traveling, being able to travel again so easily. And I'm really excited about that. And the food. I mean, come on, you guys. It's the food, really. And so there's not a whole lot that I'm not excited about. As far as being nervous, I'm not really nervous about a whole lot. You know what? I take it back. There's one thing, and I keep hearing this from actual Viennese people and other people, is that the Viennese people are not very open, and I don't want to say that they're not nice, but they're just kind of standoffish. And I'm a little nervous about that. So I'm a little nervous about meeting actual Austrians and, Viennese people and making friends that way. I have a feeling I'll make friends perfectly fine within like the expat community or even just the IAEA because it's so multicultural there. So that's maybe one thing that I'm a little nervous about. I don't want to offend. I don't know if they get offended or if it's just simply they're just not as open. I'm not sure. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know what that basis is, but yeah, that's a little nerve-wracking to me. All right, we're going to put our setting spray on, and then while this dries, I'll be able to answer some more questions for you. Okay, I got a lot of questions about whether I speak German or not. And I do speak a little bit. I learned a bit when we were in Germany last time. Unfortunately, so many people just speak English and they just start speaking English. So it's really hard to practice unless you really make an effort to, to tell them like, hey, can we speak German, please? So, I don't speak enough to have full conversations, but I've been learning. I've been, taking courses, and I'll obviously learn a lot more when I get there. I think that's probably the best way to learn is to actually speak to a native speaker. It's good to have a basis. I do Duolingo every day. I think I'm on like almost 1,500 day streak on Duolingo, but it really does. You need to have like the actual dialect, and in Vienna, it's different than in the part of Germany, the Rheinland-Pfalz, where I lived before. They do have different words for things. Where I lived in Germany, Rheinland-Pfalz, it was so close to France that some of the words that they used for things were more French based. And, of course, their accent's a little different. So, so I'll be learning a little bit more. And even just the week that we were there, we noticed there was, in the grocery store, there were different names for things that, we were unfamiliar with. So that will be different. Okay, so yes, lots of questions about if the move is for my husband's work. Why'd you choose Vienna? Are you moving solo? No, obviously I'm going with my husband. And then, this is interesting. What research did you do before you move? Weather, customs, places of interest. So again, I've been kind of studying up on Vienna for a really long time because we've been moving towards this. We kind of knew that we were hoping that this was going to happen at some point. So yeah, just lots of information, lots of, kind of learning about the customs, learning about the food, the people, the history, all of that. And I like to consume as much of that as possible. This is a really interesting question, and I can't answer this yet, but I'm very excited to be able to, is how are their current fashions different? And I don't really know yet because I'm not there, but when we were there, their fashions are quite different even from Germany where I was living before. When I lived in Germany, it was a very kind of a small, very rural farming community kind of. And so their clothing was, to me, a little bit outdated. So I did notice that, with Vienna, it's definitely more upscale. It's more elegant, I guess. But I'm really fascinated with kind of viewing everybody's fashions when we're on the subway, on the U-Bahn. And I was really pleasantly surprised with how many women wore dresses. And, they would wear dresses and then kind of comfortable shoes. And I really liked seeing that. I was pleasantly surprised. In Germany, I don't think I ever saw women wear dresses. So that was a pleasant surprise. But I will definitely be on the lookout for that more, and I'll keep you guys updated on what kind of fashion things I notice in Vienna, because it does seem to be a little bit more elegant, fashion forward. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But we'll find out. So, which Christmas markets are you most excited for? So, I've actually been to the Vienna Christmas markets. That was one of my first trips to Vienna. We went we started off in Paris and then we went to Vienna. This was before we even moved to Germany. So, we went to almost all of them. I think there's like 10, maybe more than that, in Vienna for Christmas, and they start super early. I think they'll actually be going on by the time we move there, and we get there the second week of November. So I'm very excited about that. But I would love to be able to go to like the Prague Christmas market if we'll have time to do that. I don't know how much we'll be able to travel before we actually get into our apartment and stuff. But yeah, I'll definitely be going to pretty much all of the Vienna Christmas markets. So I'll hopefully bring you guys along with that as well. Okay, so do you plan on doing much traveling in Europe? Abso-freaking-lutely. We did quite a bit of traveling when we lived in Germany, but you know, in the grand scheme of things, in the almost 5 years that we lived there, I really feel like I look back and I was like, we could have done so much more. And now, because we don't have our dogs anymore, we actually have more opportunities. Unless, we're still not going to get a dog. We're not going to get an animal for a little while. But yeah, so we definitely plan on doing more travel, and he's pretty lucky to have quite a bit of just normal time off with his job, because in Europe they give you like 5 or 6 weeks, and then there's just a ton of holidays that just, so on those kind of holiday weekends, like a long weekend, we'll be able to do just kind of quick, short weekend trip. And it's in a completely different area, obviously, from where we lived before. So we'll have a lot more opportunities to kind of take those short trips to some pretty cool places, to Budapest, to I think like Bratislava is only like an hour train ride away. So and Munich's not too far, kind of borders Italy. So yeah, we'll definitely be doing lots and lots of travel around Europe and to the UK. I want to spend a little bit more time in the UK. I loved it when we were there, and I want to see more of it. Okay, so another question that I got quite a bit was, how long will you be living there? So his contract with the IAEA is for 7 years. So by the time the 7 years is up, he'll be close to retirement. He'll have, I think, just a few more years. And so our whole plan is to retire in France. And so at the end of this 7 years, what he may do is go back to the US and work for the government again to kind of finish out his retirement to get the 20 years. We plan on buying a property in France probably by year 5 or year 6 of living in Vienna. And so then we'll have that kind of, set up already by the time he's retired, and then we can just completely retire to our house in France. Okay, I have got to put my eyeliner on, and I cannot talk and do this at the same time, so I'll be back in a second. Okay, I've got my eyes on. So, what is the next question? A lot of the same, kind of a similar questions. Okay, so will you have your furniture shipped? If not, how do you handle downsizing your belongings? So, yes, we are shipping everything. I think somebody else had asked if I was, yeah, if you're moving your whole wardrobe, furniture, and everything to Vienna. So, yes, we are, we're moving everything, our entire house. We are downsizing a little bit, just because it's time to kind of get rid of some things. And we do plan on buying some furniture in Europe. So, yes, we will be packing everything up, very similar to our other PCS, our other moves with the military or with the government. It's kind of a similar process. So the company comes in, they pack everything, put it on a big, they put it in crates in on a big truck, and then they take that and they put it on a boat. And so then the boat, it takes about probably 6 to 8 weeks, they say, for the boat to go across. And depending on which company we're going with, I don't know if it goes into Hamburg or not Hamburg, Bremerhaven in Germany, or there's a couple of other ports depending on the company that they go with. And yeah, and then it gets put back on a truck and driven to Vienna. So, yeah, I've had questions a lot about, my antiques and my all my vintage stuff, and we've been really, really lucky. We've been very fortunate with the past moves that we haven't really had too many issues. I think you guys remember from the Hawaii move here that they broke my hall tree, but that's been repaired and it's been paid for. So we did have a few things break, nothing really of consequence. So, but the great thing about like having the company pack everything is that when they put their hands on it, they're responsible for it. So if anything happens, they have to pay us. They have to pay out for those damages. So that's one of the great things about, kind of doing this kind of a move is I don't have to pack anything. I really don't have to do anything. I will say, for being such a control freak that I am, it can be very difficult to stand back and let people do it. But just knowing that, they're the ones that are responsible, and also they're professionals. They know how to pack it way better than I do. And, they're generally really good when you first do your walkthrough with them and you kind of show them the things that are really meaningful to you, and or more expensive or something like that. They always take that into consideration, and stuff like my grandfather clock, the hall tree, some of the bigger pieces, they'll actually construct a box specifically for that. And that's not something that I could ever do. So I feel pretty comfortable with it. I think the worst part for me is when they're actually unloading the stuff up to, whatever apartment we go to, because the the lifts there, the elevators for the apartments, you can't use them for furniture. I mean, you can fit like maybe two people in there. So if we're on, a higher floor, they have to go up those stairs. That's going to drive me insane. But I'm trying not to think about that until it happens. So the one question about my wardrobe. So yes, of course my wardrobe, like all of my clothes are coming with me, but I'm going to sell a portion of my, like, the PAX wardrobe system that I created, because it's, I've, especially the taller ones. The taller ones have always had to come apart and then put them back together, and the integrity of them is not fantastic. So I'm going to try and sell those to somebody who wants to, maybe reinforce them. Plus, the rooms, I want to be able to kind of really customize my next wardrobe and have the right the right units for the space. So I've been pretty lucky with, I built it out in Germany, and then I used the same units both in Hawaii and here in DC. And they have worked really, really well. I've been able to configure the rooms quite well. But I'm ready for some new units and just, making them as strong as possible. So I'm going to get rid of some of them, and I think because the bedrooms in Vienna, in these Viennese apartments, they don't come with closets. So even if I don't use the other units, the smaller units in my closet, like my husband can probably use them, or we can just use them in the hallway for coats and stuff like that. So they'll definitely still be utilized. Okay, this is a great question. Do you know anyone there? Is there a good expat network to connect with people? So the only people that we know right now is the guy whose job my husband is taking. So he'll actually be moving in December, so they won't be there for very long. We've known them for years, and they actually live here in like the DC, Maryland area. So they'll be moving back here. But yes, there is a pretty good expat community. I've joined a couple of expat Facebook groups, and there's one, like Women of Vienna, so I can, hopefully meet some new friends and meet new people. And within the IAEA, they also kind of have a lot of I don't know, a lot of events and stuff that they put together for their community, for their employees. So I'm not too worried about that. And yeah, I think, and I mean, even just posting these questions, I have gotten a lot of people reaching out to me within the vintage community to, to let me know that they live in Vienna, and so that's really exciting. I'm hoping to meet some more vintage people, and of course I have a lot of my other friends, across Europe, that are very excited to have me back and be able to visit them and hopefully go to events and all that fun stuff too. Okay, so that's pretty much all of the questions that I got from you guys. And I went ahead and just did my hair and my lipstick and obviously got dressed off camera. Apparently, I have a difficult time doing my hair and talking at the same time. I was struggling with it, so I just did it off camera. I just ended up doing a little Gibson roll, and that's it. So, but I did want to kind of talk to you guys a little bit about, I guess, the future. And so with this move, I've had to leave my job. I had a part-time job as a virtual assistant, and with the time change, it's just not going to work out. So I've had to leave my job, and which is totally fine. Everybody's good. And but obviously I need to start focusing on some of the aspects of my content creation that are making me money to help supplement. So I am going to start focusing a lot more on my Patreon, and obviously with YouTube. Those are the two biggest things that help to support my content creation. And I'm also going to be adding in a subscription option on Instagram. So I just kind of want to let you guys know that I am going to be sharing a lot more posts on Patreon and on the subscription side of Instagram. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to post just everywhere else where, you don't have to become a member. I'm still going to share things, but my Patreon is going to be my biggest priority, and I am going to share a lot of exclusive things and also kind of, first looks. So I will post it there, and then maybe a week or two later I'll post somewhere else. But there is going to be a lot more just exclusive stuff to my Patreon. So I do have three really great tiers, and different subscriptions amounts, and also different benefits. So I'm pretty happy with what I've created, the community that I've created over there. I've had my Patreon now for about a year, and my patrons are amazing. They've been incredibly supportive and wonderful. And I've really built up a great community with them, especially with my New Look members, because once a month I get together with them and we do a discussion or a tutorial or some sort of, just talking about a specific subject. So I have them choose whatever theme, whatever subject they want to talk about. And I'll either do a tutorial or it'll just be kind of an open discussion. So like last month we did a discussion about using hair pieces in vintage hairstyling. I've done live wet set tutorials. We've talked about vintage lingerie, accessorizing, color coordinating, all kinds of information in regards to vintage fashion, beauty, history, all of that stuff. So once a month I do a live Zoom session with them, and it has been amazing. I really love these sessions. But what I'm going to be adding to a lot of my to my Patreon and also to my subscription on Instagram is I'm going to be doing a lot more behind the scenes kind of posts throughout my move, and also when we get to Vienna. And I want to start doing some live, just live events, where I take a walk in Vienna, show you what it looks like, maybe take you to a market, take you to a flea market, and then of course when we're traveling I want to be able to do that a lot more often as well. So I'll be offering that for some of my tiers on Patreon and for the subscription on Instagram. And it's just something that I feel a lot more comfortable kind of sharing more intimate parts of my life, with that community. So if you are interested in seeing a lot more kind of in-depth behind the scenes, that kind of stuff, I encourage you to join my Patreon. I will say that I think with Patreon you're going to get more bang for your buck than with the Instagram subscription, but I've had a lot of people ask me about joining a subscription for Instagram. So I'm going to go ahead and, put that up as an option for people who prefer to have that platform rather than going on Patreon. So I just want to let you guys know that, I am still going to be sharing on, on TikTok, on Instagram, and all of that, but I'm just going to share more on Patreon and the subscription on Instagram. I'm also going to start reviving my blog because I really miss writing. I really do. And I haven't felt the urge to write. I haven't felt like I've been in a place to do it. But now that we're moving, I definitely feel like I'm supposed to be in Vienna. And again, we've been working really hard towards this. So this is a huge thing for me. And I'm really excited to do that. So I'll be able to write a little bit more about travel, about how I stay in, vintage while I travel, and be able to offer that to you guys as well. So I'm excited for that. And there's just so much that I'm excited about, and I really want to share it with you guys. And I hope that you will be able to support me in all of that. And I completely understand if you're not in a position to do the Patreon or the subscription on Instagram. Completely understand. I get it. You're still going to get content from me. You're still going to get some stuff from me, but you'll just get a little bit more if you join those the Patreon or the subscription. So I just kind of wanted to let you guys know what's going on with that, how that's going to work. I'm super excited to share all of this with you, and I hope that you will join me on yet again another journey, this time to Vienna, and I'm so excited to move there and to share it all with you guys. So thank you all so much for for following me up until this point, and I hope to continue on with you guys, and thank you for sending the questions. I really appreciate it. So I will see you very soon. Bye.